Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 94 based on novel. So let's start. The cry fell, and the palm of the main hall burst out fiercely at Xiao Yan. Suddenly, the void in front of him was like a lake throwing huge stones, and the space waves like waves swept in all directions. At the same time, in the palm of the main hall, the black fighting spirit condensed rapidly, and then gradually condensed into a black bone claw, clinging to the palm of the main hall. With the slight instigation of the palm of the main hall, it ruthlessly tore up the surrounding void. Dark Devil's Palm, advanced human fighting skill, is the famous skill of our hall. Xiao Yang, you are lucky to be defeated by this move of our hall, Jie. The hall lord sneered and stared at Xiao Yang with a cold face. The bone claws in his hands mercilessly blasted at Xiao Yang. Seeing this oncoming bone claw, the dignified color on Xiao Yang's face was even worse. When his palm turned over, Shen Chongkai temporarily received the ring. At the same time, his heart moved. The terrible soul power in the center of his eyebrows immediately swarmed out. Between heaven and earth, the power of a dark road quickly condensed towards Xiao Yang. When the Avenue Gore's clothes condensed on Xiao Yang's body surface, the latter's face could not help turning white. The display of the 6 tabernacles is a great consumption for Xiao Yang. At the moment, it is difficult to support Xiao Yang even if his soul is not weak. Although the Avenue Gore's clothes were condensed, the solemnity of Xiao Yang's heart had not been reduced. It's the same advanced human-level fighting skill, but there's a polar gap between the Semi-Emperor's fighting skill and the Do Emperor's fighting skill. Even Xiao Yang's 7 times breaking the Sky Ruler is also difficult to be an enemy in the face of the human-level fighting skill exerted by the strong Do Emperor. Moreover, after the previous wave of consumption, the remaining fighting spirit in Xiao Yang's body can only let him cast the 7 times breaking the Sky Ruler once. Once cast, Xiao Yang will enter a low period. At that time, he will have no backhand against the Hall Lord. Damn it! Spell it! Feeling the terrible wind coming from the front, Xiao Yang's face was ferocious and his hands waved fiercely. All the fighting spirit left in his body poured out, and the different fire spewed out, gathering madly between his palms. Buddha anger. Reincarnation. When the bone claw hit, Xiao Yang suddenly gave a startling and violent drink in his mouth, which was also a hard blowout. In the palm of his hand, a rapidly rotating flame wheel suddenly shone brightly. Then, the black spot in the middle of the wheel flickered slightly. In a twinkling, a thick dark light column suddenly burst out from it and fiercely faced the opposite bone claw. Boom! The roar turned into an invisible storm, sweeping across the vast sky until the end of sight. After that, there are more terrible energy ripples, which ruthlessly wash the whole sky. Bang bang! With the storm sweeping, in the middle of the collision between Xiao Yang and the Hall Lord, the expressions on their faces were opposite. The corners of the mouth under the mask of the Hall Lord raised a cold radiance, and a pair of dark eyes showed a sarcastic color. They stepped lightly and walked towards Xiao Yang step by step. In contrast to Xiao Yang, the Buddha anger reincarnation retreated in front of the bone claw, and the painted black energy light column was constantly crushed and exploded. A large part of the energy storm caused by Ju Tian came from Xiao Yang's pinched and exploded Buddha anger reincarnation. Jie. Xiao Yang, you're still too weak after all. In front of this hall, you're just a clown. Just rely on you. You also want to compete with this hall. You really overestimate your strength. As the Hall Lord took every step forward, Xiao Yang's body withdrew uncontrollably. Although he tried his best to resist, it was useless after all. Finally, the Hall Lord came to Xiao Yang and smiled coldly, revealing a row of Mori white teeth under the mask. Bang! The Hall Lord controlled the bone claw. In Xiao Yang's frightened eyes, he pinched and burst the Buddha anger reincarnation in his palm. Jie. These are your means. They are really vulnerable. Roar. A sneer just came out of his mouth. The bone claws in the hands of the Hall Lord poked forward fiercely and wanted to grasp Xiao Yang's head. Until this time, Xiao Jin, who was outside the battle circle, roared up to the sky. The huge dragon body was violently twisted in the void. As soon as the dragon tail swung, a startling thunder fell in the air and blasted at the Hall Lord. A mere half-emperor dares to be presumptuous in front of this hall. It's a beast who doesn't know how to live or die. Seeing the oncoming golden thunder, the Hall Lord immediately snorted coldly. Suddenly, the invisible void quickly twisted under this sound, and a circle of invisible ripples spread. Unexpectedly, the oncoming golden thunder was dissolved out of thin air. At the same time, The bone claw in his hand was about to fall directly on Xiao Yang's head. Seeing this scene, Xiao Jindun was burning with anger and roared angrily. The huge dragon body suddenly burst out bright golden lights, and his body suddenly turned around. Then a silver flash flashed. In a moment, Xiao Jin had already appeared beside Xiao Yang. The huge dragon body hit the Hall Lord hard, trying to block the attack of the Hall Lord for Xiao Yang. Huh! Seeing the sudden appearance of Xiao Jin, the main Hall Lord couldn't help but be surprised for a moment. I'm afraid even he can't chase this terrible speed. This beast is so strange. Since you want to save him with your life, the temple will let you die first. With a cold hum, the bone claws in the hands of the temple lord fell mercilessly on the oncoming little gold. Pooh! The dark bone claw was like a sharp blade. Xiao Jin's indestructible golden dragon scale was torn under this claw. With a sad dragon roar, Xiao Jin's body was pierced by this bone claw. Xiao Jin. Seeing that Xiao Jin was badly hurt, Xiao Yang's face suddenly coagulated slightly, and then turned into a hoarse roar. Dog thief, die for me. Xiao Yang's body moved and wanted to come forward, but he forgot. At the moment, he had no fighting spirit in his body. Even floating in the void seemed far-fetched. Not to mention his hand. As soon as Xiao Yang's body moved, the whole person couldn't help losing the ability to continue to step in the air. His body immediately fell uncontrollably towards the mountains and forests below. But even at this time, Xiao Yang didn't care about his life and death. Instead, he shouted angrily at the North King in the sky and said, "North King, kill him for me." Under Xiao Yang's command, the North King moved fiercely like an iron tower. In a moment, he had come to Xiao Jin's front. His huge iron fist was suddenly clenched and hit the head of the Hall Lord. It's just a scrap metal. Get out. Seeing the North King, the Hall Lord sneered with disdain. With a rolling word, he took an invisible energy and blew the North King away in an instant. To repel the North King, the Hall Lord looked at Xiao Jin curiously. Even he could not help feeling dignified about the amazing speed just erupted by the latter. That speed could not be achieved even by his two-star fighting emperor. But in that case, how could the beast in front of him who was only 9.5 emperors do it? If you can find this reason and transfer the terrible speed to yourself, he will be confident to make himself invincible even in the face of high-level fighting emperors and even stronger ones in the future. In addition, Xiao Yang has a very special identity for his ghost break door. In this way, he can really be called a double harvest today. Jie, it's unexpected that you not only caught Xiao Yang today, but also got such a good chance. I have to say, Xiao Yang, you are really the lucky star of our temple. With this in mind, the smile on the face under the main mask of the hall is particularly serious. When the palm grasps out of thin air, an invisible big hand condenses in the empty space and holds Xiaojin in it. The main hall master smiled cruelly, waved his palm and fought with each other. He immediately burst into fire and bombarded Xiaojin. At that time, the dragon scales were broken and blood was dripping. The sad dragon chant continued to ring out and spread among the heaven and earth. People can feel the pain when they heard it. The main hall lord mercilessly tore up Xiaojin's body. He wanted to find the answer he wanted to know from this flesh and blood. As for Xiaojin's life and death, he didn't care at all. However, until a certain moment, the hall lord who was about to tear off Xiaojin's dragon arm, his body standing on the void suddenly trembled violently, stopped his action, suddenly turned around and looked at the vast sky behind him. I don't know who you are. You're acting in the ghost hall. Please find another way. Looking at the clear and boundless blue sky, the main hall owner at the moment has a solemn color on his face under his mask, and his heart is very dignified. Just now, he clearly realized that there is an extremely powerful breath sweeping from his body. The strength of that breath even makes it difficult for him to imagine what level of strength the other party is. At this moment, even the bones in Xiao Yang's body completely hid their breath, and Xiao Yang barely supported himself to stand in the void with only the slightest fighting spirit squeezed from his own body. Cough. Xiao Yang coughed violently. He looked in the direction the main hall looked at now. He couldn't even catch a personal shadow in the vast sky. Why did anyone say? But when Xiao Yang was full of doubts and wanted to ask Jiyu, he found that the latter had completely lost contact with him. Jiyu seemed to disappear out of thin air, which surprised Xiao Yang. Then, when Xiao Yang looked at the sky again, he seemed to think of something in his heart, and the look on his face changed again. You know, even in the face of Luo Laro and others, Jiyu Yudu didn't hide his breath. Today, he decisively cut off all ties with Xiao Yang. It's not difficult to imagine that this gentleman in the main entrance of the hall at the moment And what kind of strength is it? In the sky, the main hall looked at the distant sky with a dignified face. On the forehead under the mask, there was a trace of cold sweat overflowing down, sliding down his face to his chin. Ghost Hall? Hihi, it's so crazy. A long time later, between heaven and earth, a faint smile came out. The laughter was old and plain, and there was no emotional fluctuation in the sound. But what made the main hall pale was that at the moment when the laughter fell, the temperature between heaven and earth around him suddenly decreased, and even, in his eyes, he could clearly see some fine ice residue. Seeing this scene, not only the main hall, but also Xiao Yan could not help feeling shocked. A word can affect the temperature between heaven and earth. It's hard to imagine how terrible the strength of this mysterious man is. Don't disturb others when you are working in the ghost hall. Please leave, otherwise. Although he knew that the other party was a super strong person whose strength exceeded many of his own, the main hall lord still stubbornly opened his mouth. As soon as he opened his mouth, he moved the ghost hall in front of him. He believed that with the reputation of the ghost hall in the mainland, anyone who knew it would retreat. But, otherwise what? Smelling the speech, the old voice came out again. This time, the outgoing words were full of sneers and disdain for the ghost hall. You. Hearing the speech, the main hall leader, even though his face changed slightly and he was about to shout angrily, did not dare to say more when he thought of the other party's terrorist strength. After a little hesitation, he was cruel. Then he spoke again and said in a deep voice, "It seems that you sincerely want to be the enemy of my ghost hall. Open the ghost temple and close the ghost temple. Why, do you really think that this continent is your ghost temple?" Humming softly, an invisible energy quickly rolled towards the hall chairman. Before the hall lord wanted to dodge, it fell on his chest. Pooh! With a puff, the main hall master spit out blood fiercely. After stepping back and retreating for dozens of steps, he could stabilize his body and look at the sky with a frightened face. "I'm the lord of the ghost temple. If you hurt me today, it's with the ghost temple. Go away. It's just a sub-temple lord. What's so arrogant to speak? Don't say it's you today. It's no use even if the real temple lord of your ghost temple is here." Before the words of the main hall were heard, the mysterious old man suddenly gave a cold hum, and the invisible power shook him out of the distance again. Pooh! When the throat rolled, the temple lord's face instantly turned red, and then a big mouthful of blood gushed out in anger. After the blood gushed out, the face under the temple lord's mask quickly turned white, and there was fear in a pair of cloudy old eyes. Until this time, he really saw that what the mysterious strong man said was true. If he really insisted on his own way and tried to force the latter back in the name of the ghost hall, I'm afraid he would still hurt himself. You. He took a deep breath. After a long time, the hall lord spoke again. This time, his words lacked the original rebellious meaning, and the turbulent black fog was restrained by more than half. Well, you have great strength. I really have nothing to say. I've written down what happened today and will do it in the future. There's so much nonsense. Get out. Hearing the speech, the look on the face under the main mask of the hall was slightly sluggish, and the muscles in the corners of the eyes were shaking. Although there was anger in the heart, they dared not speak. After all, even until now, the mysterious strong man has appeared, but even so, he has also been hurt. It is not difficult to imagine how terrible the mysterious man is. He turned around reluctantly. He looked at Xiao Jin, who was full of blood and flesh. The color of greed in his eyes still didn't dissipate, but because of the people behind me, I just had that heart and didn't have that courage. The main hall lord can clearly notice that behind him, he still has a pair of sharp eyes staring at himself. He has no doubt. If he still dares to play Xiao Jin's idea, the latter will mercilessly kill himself with his eyes alone. Unwilling to bite his teeth, the main hall lord's eyes turned, but it suddenly fell on Xiao Yang, who was suspended in the void. In the heart of the hall lord, the reason why the mysterious strong man paid so much attention to Xiao Jin may also be the reason why he found its noumenon unusual. It makes sense that everyone has a greedy heart. However, Xiao Yang is different. An ordinary human has nothing special. What's more, he is only a 5-star and a half emperor, and it's not worth a strong man's attention. In that case, if he wants to take it away, the latter should not care too much. Lower down, the main hall lord was lifted in his hand under Xiao Yang's helpless struggle, then turned around and arched his hands behind him and wanted to leave. The mysterious strong man didn't seem to stop it, which made the main hall lord relax in the dark. But, roar! Although the mysterious strong man doesn't care, it doesn't mean that Xiao Jin doesn't care about Xiao Yang. Seeing Xiao Yang, Xiao Jin is about to be arrested. Xiao Jin, who is already seriously injured, struggles violently again. The injured body forcibly twisted and wanted to rush towards the main hall. It's just a pity that Xiao Jin is really hurt at the moment. He struggled for a long time, but he can only make himself hurt more and more, but can't help Xiao Yang. This beast, damn it. Seeing Xiao Jin struggling again, the main hall master couldn't help but tighten his heart. He scolded in his heart and wanted to leave quickly with Xiao Yang. Stop. With a light drink, although the main hall owner wanted to turn around and run, he still stopped helplessly, slowly turned around and held Xiao Yang's palm, but he refused to relax at all. I don't want to say more. You should understand what I mean. The old voice is still plain, but in this plain, there is an irrefutable meaning. Ha, I don't know what you mean. Whoosh. Before the words fell, a fierce and incomparable breaking wind suddenly sounded in the world. In the void, a fight came to the main hall in an instant. Although the blow seemed insipid, the hall lord suddenly changed his face at the moment of the sound. He could not resist the blow, even if he put his wealth together. I understand. I'll let you go. As soon as the palm was loosened, the main hall lord turned and ran. The mask on his face also fell down because of temporary fear, revealing an old face full of gullies under the mask. However, at the moment, on this old face, it was full of fear. Hiss. At the moment when the main hall turned around, the fighting spirit also flew close to his left face. The fierce vigorous wind tore the flesh and blood of half of his face, revealing the high cheekbones under the skin. Even nearly half of the eyeballs in his eyes were exposed in the air. At the same time, his left ear and the skin around him were torn together. The severe pain almost covered his mind, but in the end, the main hall lord forced himself to escape here at a high speed. And until this time, Xiao Yang was finally relieved, but then the look on his face became more dignified. First, he solved the fox, and now he sent the tiger away. At present, there is a more ferocious lion in front of him. If it is not handled well, Xiao Yang is afraid of the same danger. Before you know the real purpose of the other party, you should not easily believe anything. After all, human nature is like this. Only interests are the reason for their action. Otherwise, who will take care of the life and death of a 5-star-and-a-half emperor? With the departure of the main hall owner, the heaven and earth also recovered its original appearance, and the repressive atmosphere shrouded in the heaven and earth also dispersed with it. But even so, Xiao Yang, who is standing in the sky at the moment, still can't show the slightest relaxed expression on his face. Looking at Xiao Jin, who turned into a snake again and hovered in front of him, Xiao Yang couldn't help showing a pity color in his eyes, and his heart was filled with towering anger. Although the body was reduced, the injuries on Xiao Jin's body did not weaken at all. The body, which was originally glittering and covered with dragon scales, was now replaced by red blood. The body was covered with scars all over the body, looking extremely miserable. Along the way, Xiao Jin didn't know how many injuries he had suffered for Xiao Yang, and almost lost his life every time. For Xiao Yang, Xiao Jin could not even want his life, but he could only watch the people who hurt Xiao Jin leave safely, which made Xiao Yang angry in his heart and hate his weakness. I thought that when he stepped into the current level, he would be able to protect the people he wanted to protect, but unexpectedly, he was full of scars along the way. Even Xiao Jin, the only relative beside him, could not protect him. Until now, he really felt his weakness. As long as he can't reach the peak in one day, he will never be called a strong man, let alone protect his relatives. With this in mind, Xiao Yang's palm hidden under his sleeve robe trembled and clenched. In his mind, the faces of Jianming and others appeared one by one. Finally, he was the main hall. The faces of these people have been deeply engraved in his mind. In the future, as long as these people do not die, it will become a nightmare that will hinder Xiao Yang's life. However, when Xiao Yang's anger was rising, an old man dressed in a golden robe, with white hair and beard and a kind face appeared in the void a few feet in front of Xiao Yang without warning. At the moment when the old man appeared, Xiao Yang also quickly regained his mind, raised his eyes quickly, and gradually floated a solemn color on his pale face. In a twinkling, Xiao Yang quickly hugged the old man and bowed his hands, saying respectfully, "Younger generation Xiao Yang, thank you for helping me just now." At the moment when Xiao Yang's eyes swept the old man's face, a strange feeling flashed from the bottom of his heart. In this regard, the old man in gold robe smiled faintly. His muddy old eyes full of vicissitudes looked deeply at Xiao Yang, then swept over Xiao Yang's little gold on Xiao Yang's shoulder and frowned slightly. Then he fell on Xiao Yang again, and then slowly opened his mouth and said, "You don't have to thank me. I'd better thank this little guy. If he didn't work hard to save you, I wouldn't have done it. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang's face was slightly stunned. Then his bloody palm gently stroked Xiao Jin's head. He couldn't help feeling a little, smiled and whispered to Xiao Jin. Hehe, little guy, I'm really sorry to have you. Roar. Hearing the words in Xiao Yang's mouth, Xiao Jin, who was seriously injured, arched Xiao Yang's palm with his small head, and roared softly in his mouth. Looking at Xiao Jin on his shoulder, Xiao Yang couldn't help laughing. Then he remembered the old man in front of him. He quickly turned around, looked at the old man in the brocade robe, arched his hands again and said, Anyway, thanks to the elder's action today, the younger generation was able to get back alive. The elder is very kind. I really appreciate it. Hehe, you don't have to be grateful, but I have something to take away. The old man stroked his beard with one hand and looked at Xiao Yang with a smile. He glanced at Xiao Jin again and said with a smile. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang frowned immediately and thought a little. Bei Wangdun came flying from a distance and stood on Xiao Yang's side. Xiao Yang is certainly a person who knows how to repay his kindness, but if the other party has an evil heart, he will not be treated politely. When the North King came to his side, Xiao Yang was barely confident. From the eyes of the old man in gold robe, he could clearly see that the old man's intention was Xiao Jin on his shoulder. With a little hope in his heart, Xiao Yang also hoped that it was just his own worry for a while. After a few breaths, Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes, stared at the old man in gold robe, spoke again and said in a condensed voice. I don't know what the elder said means. I'm talking about him on your left shoulder right now. Xiao Yang's voice didn't fall, but the old man in gold robe pointed out and pointed at Xiao Jin. Sir, I don't quite understand what you mean. His eyes were slightly frozen. Unexpectedly, the old man in the golden robe really hit Xiao Jin's idea, which made Xiao Yang feel angry. Now, Xiao Jin is the only relative around him. He will never allow anyone to take him away from his side. Even if the other person is a super strong person who surpasses Yuanzong, he can't. As Xiao Yang's mind fell, the North King in front of him moved and blocked Xiao Yang and Xiao Jin behind him. Xiao Yang quickly took several imperial pills and quickly recovered his injuries and the fighting spirit lost in the previous war. At the same time, the fighting spirit temporarily recovered in the body was also mentioned by Xiao Yang at this moment. Wisps of small flames shook and rose on Xiao Yang's body surface. This scene made the old man in golden robe look surprised. Hey, boy, you have a lot of courage. With this strength, you can fight in front of me. Looking at the whole continent, you are really the first person. His eyebrows were light, but the old man in golden robe couldn't help laughing at Xiao Yang. His words were flat without a trace of waves, but even so, it was enough to explain his surprise at Xiao Yang in his heart. Smell speech, the muscles on Xiao Yang's face can't help shaking violently and squeezing the fighting spirit in his body too much, which is not a small load for him. But Rao was so, but Xiao Yang still took the Shen heavy ruler out of the ring and held it in the palm of his hand. However, compared with the usual difference, the Shenchong ruler, which was handy in Xiao Yang's hand and has been completely used to the weight, is now at the moment when Xiao Yang starts, his arm can't help sinking slightly, and the whole person's face is more pale. This is. Seeing the huge ruler in Xiao Yang's hand, the old man in gold robe couldn't help but concentrate a little. He whispered in a low voice. The turbid old eyes stared at Xiao Yang again. In a pair of eyes, they couldn't help but burst out in horror. After a long time, the originally heavy atmosphere between heaven and earth was broken again by the kind laughter of the old man. Hehe, well, put it away. You are overwhelmed now. Instead of knowing the origin of the loss, you might as well listen to me first. I believe you will agree with me to take him away. Xiao Yang frowned, the giant ruler in his hand raised slightly and pointed to the old man, but he kept thinking in his heart. In the face of the strong at this level, he really can't be careless, but in other words, if the old man in gold robe really schemed against Xiao Jin, he might have started directly rather than wasting time here with him. Since the latter believes he can convince himself, let's listen to him for the time being. It's also a delay and let him recover more fighting spirit. With this in mind, Xiao Yang put away the strange fire and fighting spirit gushing out of the body in the kind smile of the old man in gold robe. Xian Chongkai was still afraid to relax and was held in the palm of Xiao Yang's hand. On the clear sky, the breeze is refreshing, and the scorching sun is like fire, releasing dazzling light to illuminate the whole world. As Xiao Yang absorbed the different fire on the body surface into his body, the tense atmosphere between heaven and earth also dissipated. Above the void, Xiao Yang held a Shen heavy ruler in his hand, raised his eyes, looked at the old man in gold robe opposite, and saw the confident look on the other party's face. Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning slightly. After a few breaths, he took a deep breath, stared at the latter and said slowly, "Since the elder said there was another reason, please tell me first." Xiao Yang still looked cautious. The old man in gold robe smiled faintly, and then his eyes fell on Xiao Jin on Xiao Yang's shoulder. Then he looked at Xiao Yang again and said, "Before that, I hope you can give him to me first." The old man's voice didn't fall, but Xiao Yang immediately frowned, and a look of anger appeared between his eyebrows, but without Xiao Yang's voice, the old man's next words extinguished Xiao Yang's anger like a basin of cold water. "This little guy is badly hurt. It's no good for him to drag on like this." When the old man spoke, Xiao Yang suddenly woke up. He looked at Xiao Jin on his shoulder. Despite the help of Pill, Xiao Jin was seriously injured. Even if it was Imperial Pill, it was difficult to play a big role in a short time. Looking at Xiao Jin on his shoulder and the old man in gold robe who stretched out his hand across from him, Xiao Yang still didn't trust Xiao Jin to pay. Seeing this, the old man in gold robe immediately knew, frowned slightly, and looked at Xiao Jin with worry. After a little hesitation, he sighed lightly, turned his eyes back to Xiao Yang and sighed. "Well, since you don't trust me, I don't care. It's just that the little guy's injury really needs timely help, otherwise it may have a great impact on his origin. I think you should be a herbalist. Well, I have a Nirvana pill here. I'll give it to you first. If you can trust it, you'd better feed him to take it. If you can't trust it, you can't trust it. The injury on his body can only be put down for the time being." When the voice fell, the old man waved his palm gently, and a streamer immediately came to Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang hesitated and put it into his hand. When he opened his palm, a jade bottle inlaid with Phnom Penh pattern lay in it, and the light temperature was uploaded to Xiao Yang's palm, which made him pick his eyebrows slightly. The material of the jade bottle is not very general. It can maintain the temperature of the pills without any external energy, so that the pills are always in the most perfect state of efficacy. From this point alone, it can be seen that the identity of the old man must be much higher than that of Xiao Yang. After wiping off the energy film that sealed the bottle mouth, a strong smell of medicine rose from it like a cloud and mist. It changed leisurely in front of Xiao Yang, and finally turned into a demon phoenix. Then it gradually overflowed and dispersed in Xiao Yang's slightly surprised eyes. Seeing the demon phoenix, Xiao Yang's eyes suddenly coagulated. He didn't expect that the pill would be so miraculous. The condensed smell of the pill could turn into a demon phoenix. This alone is enough to prove that the pill in the jade bottle is extraordinary. Moreover, according to the strong pill fragrance, Xiao Yang's heart can guess that the grade of the pill is more than he knows now. "Who?" With a deep breath, Xiao Yang spread out his palm and carefully poured the pill in the jade bottle into his palm. Starting with the pill, a faint warm feeling suddenly came. Xiao Yang looked intently. A golden pill was emitting a faint golden light of glass. He lay quietly in the palm of his hand. Vaguely, Xiao Yang could feel the powerful power of the pill. That kind of power was by no means comparable to ordinary pills. Even imperial pills were in front of him. It's the same feeling that a little witch sees a big witch. On the surface of the golden elixir, there was a red area. Xiao Yang looked carefully. This red area happened to be the shape of a demon phoenix. Moreover, the red light on it was slowly flowing, and the pair of wings seemed to be really flapping, which made Xiao Yang have a strange illusion. Under Xiao Yang's careful exploration, he seemed to notice a familiar smell from the pill. Demon phoenix blood. This. The demon phoenix blood of the sky demon phoenix family. At this moment, Xiao Yang's eyes suddenly solidified, and his pale cheeks couldn't help showing a deeply frightened color. It's hard to imagine that the pill in front of him contained the blood power of the Tianyao Huang family. You know, as the supreme existence of the world of Warcraft, the Tianyao Phoenix family, even if placed in this Yuanwu continent, is also at the peak of the continent. Xiao Yang was also aware of the rules of the Tianyao Huang family. They had strict requirements for the blood and body of their people. Anyone who got the blood of the Tianyao Huang family would be recorded in the must-kill blacklist of the Tianyao Huang family, and the old man in gold robe was able to refine it into a pill. Based on this, the real identity of the old man in front of him, I'm afraid it's far beyond Xiao Yang's imagination. Seeing the frightened look on Xiao Yang's face, the old man in gold robe also grinned at the corners of his mouth and showed a proud smile. It seemed that he didn't care about the blood of the demon phoenix in the pill. Back to his senses, Xiao Yangdang quickly fed Xiao Jin the pill in his hand even if he didn't hesitate. Although the Nirvana pill is not low-grade, its drug effect is extremely mild during Xiao Yang's exploration. The violent power of the demon phoenix's blood is also suppressed by another blood, which also makes Xiao Yang's eyes shine. After Xiao Jin swallowed the pill, a faint golden light quickly gushed out of his body and wrapped Xiao Jin's blood-stained body. Immediately, Xiao Yang clearly saw that the wound on Xiao Jin's body surface was recovering rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although it could not recover completely, even so, it was several times stronger than Xiao Yang's imperial pill. It's hard to imagine what kind of pill this nirvana pill is. With such a terrible recovery speed, the product level of this pill is at least level 4. Seeing Xiao Jin, who was rapidly recovering from the injury in his body at the moment, Xiao Yang finally showed a reassuring smile on his pale face. Then he raised his head again and looked at the old man in gold robe opposite. This time, Xiao Yang's face changed his previous solemn look. From the action of the old man in gold robe, the other party also really wanted to rescue Xiao Jin, rather than trying otherwise. In this way, it was enough for Xiao Yang to treat him respectfully. Holding fists with both hands, Xiao Yang bowed and arched at the old man, but while the old man nodded and smiled, he raised his eyes and stared at the latter. The essence in the dark pupil flickered, and even though he spoke in a voice, "Elder," if the younger generation guessed well, the elder should be a member of the Taishu ancient dragon family. The voice fell, and the look on the face of the golden-robed old man opposite Xiao Yang couldn't help but be a little stunned. Then he opened his mouth and laughed non-committally. A pair of muddy old eyes stared at Xiao Yang. They looked at each other with tacit understanding. Bo Shuyu WOW. 476,668,761. This video will end here.